What's up guys, my name's Brandon and today we're going to be doing a speed test between two of the best budget phones of 2020, the brand new Google Pixel 4a and the 2020 iPhone SE. And both of these phones are under $400, so the Pixel 4a is $349 and the iPhone SE is $399. So we're going to see if that $50 additional makes a difference when it comes to the performance between these two phones. And of course we do have Android 10 versus iOS 13, so that of course will always make a difference as well. But anyways, like we always do in these speed tests, we're going to be comparing the app launching speeds, the gaming, web browsing, Wi-Fi speeds, and more. So before we get into the speed test, let's go ahead and lay out the specs for both devices to see what we're working with. So over on the left, we have the Pixel 4a, which has the Snapdragon 730 processor and 6 gigabytes of RAM. Then over here on the right, we have the iPhone SE, the 2020 version. This has the A13 Bionic chip with 3 gigabytes of RAM. So we have double the RAM on the Pixel. This is, kind of common now. The Android phones always have much more RAM than the iPhones, but we'll see if that makes a difference in the RAM test later on in this video. All right, so let's go ahead and kick things off with a simple boot up test. So both devices are completely shut down. We're gonna press the power button and boot these guys up here in 3, 2, 1. So pressing and holding on the power button on both at the exact same time. We got the Google logo first on the Pixel 4a. Let's see if that will get to the lock screen before the iPhone SE. So we have the Google logo and the Apple logo right here. Looks like the Pixel's gonna be first, but we shall see. And yes, the Pixel got to the lock screen first by a pretty good margin here. There we go. So a few seconds behind is the iPhone SE. Now both devices have a fingerprint sensor. That is the biometric used to get into the phone. So on the iPhone SE, we have that in the form of a button on the front. On the Pixel 4a, we have that in the form of a little button right here, a little sensor on the back, because of course there are no buttons on the front of this device. And in terms of which one gets to the home screen faster from the lock screen using the fingerprint sensor, I found them to be pretty much the exact same. Really the only difference are going to be the animation speeds. So I found the animation speeds to be a little bit faster on Android 10 on the Pixel here. But in terms of the overall fingerprint sensor, there's not really a huge difference there. The Pixel just seems to be a little bit more sensitive than the Touch ID is on the iPhone SE. So now we're gonna move on to the launching apps section of the speed test. So we're gonna go ahead and close out of all applications on both devices. That way we don't have anything running in the background. And we're gonna start off with some social media apps. So let's start with Twitter in 3, 2, 1. Launched at the exact same time here, logged in on both as well. And the Pixel 4a definitely won and loaded up the tweets and everything before the iPhone SE. And once again, we are on 13.6 here on the iPhone SE and Android 10, the latest version on both on the Pixel 4a over here. So now let's move on to Instagram in 3, 2, 1. Again, pressed at the exact same time. And it looks like everything loaded up. Actually, it looked like it loaded up first on the SE. This picture didn't load up on the Pixel 4a until after it loaded up on the SE, but once again, very, very close. Now let's go to Reddit. Again, pressed at the same time, and we got content first. It looked like on the iPhone. I did have that little pop-up there as well. Let's move on to YouTube. YouTube loads up first on the Pixel by at least a second there. Now let's move on to Twitch. Press at the exact same time, and once again, the Pixel 4a beats the iPhone SE. Now let's go to ESPN. And ESPN loads up first on the iPhone SE by a couple of seconds there. Let's go into Amazon. Amazon also loads up first on the iPhone SE. So it seems like a lot of the web-based applications like the ESPNs and the Amazons load up first on the iPhone for whatever reason. And it seems like the more common social media apps open up first or a little bit faster on the Pixel 4a. So let's move on to some gaming now. So we're gonna start with a very light game like Subway Surfers here in 3, 2, 1. And we saw the animation there, or the title screen there first on the SE. And yes, the SE loads up first, and the iPhone always thrives on gaming. So I definitely expect the iPhone to win here, and it won with a small game like Subway Surfer. So let's move on to some more intensive games. Let's try out something like Call of Duty Mobile in 3, 2, 1. And we got the animation, the title screen rather, on the iPhone SE first, and the loading screens just seem to be going by a little bit faster on the SE as well. And yeah, still definitely the further it goes, you can see the further ahead the iPhone SE gets. And once again, we do have these updated and everything, so there's not going to be any type of additional content being downloaded or anything like that. And we are on the login screen now, and it's going to take me here to log in. So it logged in at the same time on both. So the Pixel is actually catching up now, which is kind of surprising. And yes, you can see there the SE, but only by a couple of seconds there with Call of Duty Mobile. Let's go into PUBG. So PUBG, once again, pressed at the exact same time. Once again, also updated and logged in on separate accounts. So this should be a very fair test here. And the iPhone SE is just dominating right now when it comes to the gaming. As expected, iOS always thrives there. And we got a little pop-up there. So yeah, we got here on the iPhone SE, still waiting on the Pixel 4a. Still waiting, and there we go. So quite a few seconds behind is the Pixel 4a. And now let's go into Asphalt 9. This is going to be the final game we test here in this speed test. And this one's a little bit closer than the previous ones, but it looks like the iPhone SE once again is out ahead. And once again, we are logged in on both devices as well on separate accounts. So, and wow, actually the Pixel 4a won there. That was surprising. So we didn't really see anything on the Pixel 4a for a few seconds, but it definitely beat the iPhone SE there. So that was pretty surprising there with Asphalt 9. So now let's open up some more common applications like the camera. And the camera loaded up first, and we saw the viewfinder there on the iPhone SE first. Let's go ahead and take a picture and see which one saves it to the camera roll first here in 3, 2, 1. And that looked about even. I didn't really see any difference. Maybe the Pixel 4a saves it a little bit quicker, but very, very small difference there. Let's switch to the front-facing camera and see if we get a faster turnaround on one of these devices. And yes, it looked like the Pixel, or the iPhone rather, turns the camera around faster than the Pixel 4a by just about a second. Let's go into the settings. Settings loads up first on the iPhone and iOS. Now let's do the App Store versus the Play Store in 3, 2, 1. And it looked like the App Store by just about a second, less than a second there. So no real difference in terms of opening up the App Store. Now let's do Safari versus Chrome in 3, 2, 1. And it looked like Safari loaded up this welcome page here first, but it's probably because we have some articles here on the Pixel 4a. All right, so now let's see if that 6 gigabytes of RAM actually makes a difference in the RAM test. So once again, we have 6 gigabytes on the Pixel 4a, 3 gigabytes on the iPhone SE. So we're gonna go back and open up all the applications again to see if we get a relaunch on any of them. So nothing there with Twitter. Let's do Instagram, and we got a relaunch on the iPhone, but not on the Pixel 4a. So there we go. That's 6 gigabytes of RAM. Looks like it might actually translate to real world usage. Let's go into YouTube, and no other relaunches so far. Let's do Twitch. It looked like we had a little reload there on the Pixel 4a, at least the live channels reloaded there, that little section. Let's go to ESPN. Nothing there. Amazon. Well, we had a little flashing there on the Pixel 4a, nothing on the iPhone. Now let's do the games. So let's do Subway Surfers, and a relaunch on the iPhone, not on the Pixel 4a. Very interesting. Now let's do Call of Duty Mobile. And it looks like we have a full relaunch on the iPhone. It looks like it's trying to reconnect. Yeah, so we didn't have a full relaunch on the Pixel, but we had a full relaunch on the iPhone. So you can see there it's taking much longer to load up, whereas we're already ready to go here on the Pixel 4a. Let's go into PUBG Mobile, and it looks like a full relaunch on the iPhone, and no, not a full relaunch on the Pixel 4a. So that 6 gigabytes of RAM is definitely making a difference here, which is surprising somewhat, because a lot of times in these speed tests, it doesn't really make that big of a difference, at least with the Samsung phones. But it looks like with the Pixel phones here, that RAM is being put to good use in terms of keeping the applications open in the background. So let's see if we have anything for Asphalt 9, and it looks like a full relaunch for both here in Asphalt 9. Actually, it wasn't really a full relaunch here for the Pixel, but it was for the iPhone once again. So it looks like the Pixel is definitely going to be keeping applications open longer in the background, so you don't have to do a full relaunch when you go back into them, which is a huge plus for the Pixel, especially for being $50 less than the iPhone. Now let's move on to the web browsing portion of this speed test. So we're going to load up a couple of websites here and see which one gets there first, which one loads in all the content first. And I'm going to go ahead and change the iPhone to dark mode just so it looks a little bit better side by side here. So we have dark mode enabled on both. The first website we're going to go to is an electric car website called electric.com. All right, so we're going to launch this website in 3, 2, 1. Press at the exact same time, and it looks like the Pixel loaded up everything first, including the ads. Actually, no, the iPhone SE loaded in everything, including the ads, before the Pixel 4a. So it looked like the ads were the only thing that the Pixel 4a did not load in before the iPhone. So let's see if that same trend continues with TechCrunch.com in 3, 2, 1. Press at the exact same time here, and it looks like the iPhone loaded up everything first. So yes, the iPhone, the Pixel 4a was still loading in the ad and some content there as well. So the iPhone SE once again won with TechCrunch. Let's go to Forbes in 3, 2, 1. Press at the same time there, and it looks like the Pixel 4a, let's see if any ads come in. Looks like the Pixel 4a though is going to win by a decent margin there, by at least about a second. Looks like that bottom ad actually didn't load in first, but it seems like the content loads in first on the Pixel 4a, but the ads are a little bit slower than they appear on the iPhone and the iPhone SE here. So now let's test ESPN in 3, 2, 1. ESPN, it looks like loaded up first. We got content first on the iPhone and the ad first on the iPhone as well. So another win for the iPhone SE here. Let's go to one last website. Let's go to my website, dailyiFix.com. In 3, 2, 1. Press go at the exact same time here. This one will take a little bit longer to load, but it looks like the iPhone SE is going to load this up first, including the ad before the Pixel 4a. So it looks like the iPhone is superior when it comes to Safari speed tests. Although in some instances, the Pixel loaded up content first. It was just a little bit slow loading in the ads, whereas the iPhone loaded in the ads a lot quicker. And now finally, let's do a Wi-Fi speed test. So one thing I will point out is that the iPhone SE is compatible with Wi-Fi 6 routers, whereas the Pixel 4a is not compatible with Wi-Fi 6. Now, I do not have a Wi-Fi 6 router, so this isn't gonna matter, but I figured it was something important to know for the future when you're choosing between these two phones. So let's start off with the speed test, the Wi-Fi speed test here on the Pixel 4a. We're just gonna run these speed tests separately so that we can not use up any more bandwidth than what's needed. All right, so we got a 92.9 download and an 82 upload on the Pixel. Let's see if we can beat that with the iPhone SE, or if it's a little bit slower than the Pixel 4a. And yes, the iPhone SE was slower in the download and especially in the upload. So we had a 92.9 versus 86.3 and an 82.0 versus a 66.2. And you can see there we were connected to the same server, Atlanta. The latency was also a little bit higher on the iPhone SE. So definitely a win there for the Pixel. So yeah, guys, there you have it. That is a speed test between the Pixel 4a and the 2020 iPhone SE. What do you guys think about the speed test? Which device do you think won the speed test and which areas? And do you think that the iPhone SE is worth an additional $50 over the Pixel 4a? Of course, we do have Android versus iOS, so that's going to be a big difference and, a factor into purchasing one of these phones as well. But just let me know down in the comments what you thought overall of this speed test. And if you guys enjoyed it, of course, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for a lot more content and comparisons just like this one. And if you guys want to see any more videos on the Pixel 4a, let me know down in a comment below. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.